Okay, now we shall move to the next slide. In the next slide, you can see the physical structure of a diode, or this is a triode. Here you can see the physical structure of a diode. You can see the cathode, anode, and anode. The positive symbol just indicates the potential. The voltage we are providing at the anode is positive, more positive than the cathode, and the cathode emits the electrons, and those electrons are attracted by the positive potential of the anode. This we have already discussed in the previous slide. And you can see the cylindrical structure, and here the cylindrical structure is control grid, and this all control grid, cathode, anode, uh, these all are inside the glass tube. And this is the picture of a diode, or the triode working. So when a diode or triode is working, it glows like a bulb, and this is the reason of consumption of very high power. So diode and triode were used to consume a large amount of power, and nowadays we are using semiconductors based diode, transistors, etc. All devices consume very less power in the order of watt only. And we will see in the next slide how much power is consumed by the diode triodes when we are using a large number of diodes and triodes. Okay, and here you can see the different sizes of the diode, and you can also uh, conclude here that these all devices are bulky. I think it would be like uh, 10 centimeter or 12 centimeter. Okay, now we will move to the next slide. Here you can see the ENIAC computer, electronic numerical integrator, and computer, or computing. I don't remember the exact full form of this. You can find the full form on the internet. And the bottom line is this, that this was the first diode based computer in which the diode triode etc were used for the switching purpose. These all diodes, triodes, etc were used for the switching purpose. And you can see here the size of the computer is very large. The size of the computer is as large as a big hall. You can compare it this the size of this hall with the exam hall of the technical college, even bigger than that. So the computers were very bulky in the past times. And because the reason was the excuse me, using of diodes or triodes. Okay, now we shall move to the next slide. Here some of the characteristics of the ENIAC computer is giving. Heralded as a giant brain by the press, and heralded means designated as a giant brain because it was used for a numerical integrator and computing purposes. So actually all these things were usually computed, were calculated by the human beings. And now the first time a computer was created that could calculate all those things, like in numerical calculation, integral calculation, or some kind of computing. Here you can see the data is given: 17,468 vacuum tubes, 7,200 crystal diodes, 1,500 relays, 70,000 resistors, 10,000 capacitors, 6,000 manual switches, and approximately 5 lakh hand shoulder, not 5 lakh, I think it's 50 lakh, yes, 50 lakh hand shoulder joints. and consumed 150 kilowatts of power. And you can see here the power, this is the power, 150 kilowatt, this is too much. And nowadays a household generally have the power of 5 kilowatt connection, 3 kilowatt, 4 kilowatt, and you can imagine how much power a computer was using on in the past times, because we have used the vacuum tube technology in the past times. And input was available from a IBM card reader and 100 kilohertz clock, and 100 kilohertz clock. And nowadays you can see even the processors in your mobile phones, whether it's Kirin or Snapdragon, whatever is the processor, the frequency is in gigahertz. On all the other processors, you can see by the Intel or by the AMD, nowadays are coming in the frequency range of the gigahertz. So you can understand the advancement in technology. So the on that time 100 kilohertz was the clock frequency, and now it is several gigahertz. Okay, several tubes burned out almost every day, leaving it non-functional about half the time. Actually, this was the one of the biggest challenges on that time. The tubes, because you can see here hand shoulder joints were there, so there was a problem of reliability. You can understand one thing very clearly, and I will give you a very concrete example. Whenever there are more number of connection in any circuit, then the circuit becomes less reliable. The number of connection increases, the reliability of the circuit decreases. This is a very general concept, and you can understand it very easily. The number of connection increases, and then the reliability decreases. Okay, and you can see here the hand shoulder joints were used, so that can be broken anytime. Several tubes burned out almost every day, leaving it non-functional about half a time. So these were the problem associated with the ENIAC computer. So in order to solve those problems, the transistor was invented. The actually this was the reason behind the invention of the transistor, or you can say the motivation behind the invention of the transistor, because the vacuum tube walls and the all those diode valve, triode valve, tetrode valve, etc. were not efficient, and most of the time computer was shut down because of burning of diodes and etc. Okay, the vacuum tube was bulky and fragile device was which consumed a significant power. Yeah, this we have already discussed. In 1947, Shockley, Bardeen and Brattain at Bell Labs invented the transistor. So the transistor was invented by the three physicists in the Bell laboratories.